The stars above Earth had always looked calm, but on that day they felt different, as if the sky itself was waiting for something to happen. Across every nation, every city, and every quiet village, screens suddenly turned white, radios filled with soft static. Satellites stopped moving for a single breath of time. No alarm sounded, yet every human being felt the same strange pull of attention, like the universe had gently called their name. Then she appeared. She did not arrive in fire or thunder. There was no great explosion, no falling ship, no tearing of space. She was simply there, standing in orbit above the blue curve of Earth, glowing with a light that did not hurt the eyes. She looked almost human in shape, but no one could see her face clearly. It shifted like light on water, impossible to hold in focus. Around her moved faint rings of silver symbols, slow and silent, older than any language known to history. Within minutes, every telescope on Earth turned toward her. Military systems locked on without orders. Scientists forgot to breathe. Leaders rushed into emergency rooms filled with shouting voices and flashing lights, yet the glowing figure did nothing. She only waited. Far beyond Earth, hidden stations belonging to distant civilizations also watched. Some had seen her before. Some had prayed never to see her again. They all knew the same name. The Arbiter. No one remembered where she came from. Records older than most stars spoke of her visits. Always the same, always calm, always unstoppable. She never attacked. She never argued. She never explained herself. She only asked a single question and granted a single desire. After that, history always changed. On Earth, fear and hope grew together. Some people believed she was an angel. Others believed she was the end of everything. Religious leaders called for prayer. Soldiers prepared for war they knew they could not win. Children looked up at the sky with wide, shining eyes. For 6 long hours, she remained silent. Then every screen on Earth changed again, this time showing a clear view of her glowing form. The silver symbols slowed and faded. When she spoke, her voice was soft, calm, and somehow gentle, even though it echoed across oceans and mountains at the same time.
"I greet the people of this world," she said.
Her words were perfectly understood in every language. No translation delay, no confusion. Each listener heard her as if she spoke only to them. A deep silence followed. "Billions waited. For your civilization has reached the moment of choosing," she continued, as all thinking species must. In secret chambers across the galaxy, alien observers leaned closer to their instruments. Some felt curiosity. Many felt dread. On Earth, leaders quickly began arguing about who should answer her. Governments demanded control. Alliances formed and broke within minutes. Everyone wanted to speak for humanity, because everyone believed the question would decide the future forever. But the Arbiter did not ask them. Instead, she turned her gaze toward the thin line of metal structures circling Earth's upper atmosphere. Old maintenance rings, supply paths, and quiet service stations where workers lived simple, unnoticed lives. Among them was a small repair platform called Horizon 1. 2. It was not important. Most people on Earth had never heard its name. Inside that station, a man floated slowly through a narrow corridor, carrying a box of worn tools. His name was Jonas Hale. Jonas was not famous. He was not powerful. He had no great achievements written in history books. He fixed broken panels, replaced failing wires, and checked air filters that most people forgot existed. He liked quiet music, simple food, and long views of Earth turning below him. If anyone had asked, they would have called his life ordinary. At that moment, he was trying to loosen a stubborn bolt while softly complaining to himself. Then the lights in the corridor dimmed. The tools in his hand stopped moving, hanging in the air as if time had slowed. A warm glow filled the small space behind him. Jonas turned slowly. She stood there, not on a screen, not far away, in orbit, right in front of him. For a long second, he could not think. His heart beat loudly in the silence. He wondered if he had lost his mind from too many lonely shifts in space. The glowing figure watched him without movement. The air felt calm, almost peaceful, like the quiet moment before sleep. Far below, billions of people saw the same image through suddenly active cameras inside the station. Every government, every scientist, every frightened child watched the unknown worker floating before the ancient being. Confusion spread across Earth. Why him? Why someone so ordinary? Even the alien observers beyond the solar system reacted with surprise. Never before had the Arbiter chosen someone without status or power. She usually spoke to rulers, great thinkers, or warriors who carried the fate of their people. But not this time. Jonas swallowed slowly, his throat dry. "Hello?" he said, the word escaping before he could stop it. The Arbiter's light softened slightly, like a quiet answer. For the first time in human history, the ancient traveler stood face to face with a single person of Earth. When she spoke, her voice was no louder than a whisper, yet it filled the station and every listening world at once. "What do you desire?" she asked. The question was simple. No long speech, no warning, just 5 quiet words. Across Earth, people began shouting suggestions at their screens, as if Jonas could hear them.
Power. Peace.
Endless energy. Cure for death. Protection from war. 1,000 desperate hopes poured into the silence. Military leaders demanded he ask for strength. Politicians wanted unity under their rule. Scientists dreamed of knowledge beyond imagination. Jonas heard none of it. Inside the small corridor, there was only him and the glowing stranger who felt older than time. He looked at her carefully, not with fear alone, but with a strange, growing curiosity. There was something lonely in the stillness around her, something empty hidden beneath the endless light. No one in history had ever been offered such a choice. One desire. Anything. No cost. His mind tried to think of something great, something worthy of the moment. But every grand wish felt strangely small when he looked at her. Seconds passed. Across the world, tension grew so strong it felt like the planet itself held its breath. Alien observers prepared to record another turning point of civilization. Some expected glory. Others expected disaster. All believed they already knew how this moment would end, because it always ended the same way. A species asked for power, and everything changed. Jonas finally inhaled slowly. His fear did not disappear, but it settled into something steady and clear. He realized that whatever he said next would belong not just to him, but to all of humanity. Still, the only honest thought in his mind was not about power or immortality. It was about her. He spoke quietly, almost unsure of his own words. "I want to understand you." Silence fell deeper than before. On Earth, the shouting stopped. In distant star systems, alien watchers froze in shock. Ancient records had never shown this answer. Not once, not in millions of years of visits. The Arbiter did not move. For the first time since any civilization had known her, she did not respond immediately. Something impossible was happening. Jonas wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Maybe he should ask for something safer, something useful. Maybe it was not too late to change his words, but the truth was already spoken, floating between them in the quiet light. He kept looking at her, waiting, and slowly, very slowly, the glow around the Arbiter changed, softer and less distant than before. When she finally spoke again, her voice carried a tone no record had ever captured: uncertainty. "Walk with me, human," she said gently. "If this remains your desire, it shall be granted." The corridor around them faded into white light. Far below, Earth watched in silent wonder as the ordinary man and the ancient being disappeared together into the unknown. And across the galaxy, civilizations that had once answered the same question began to feel something they had not felt in ages. Hope or fear. Because for the first time, the story might be different, and no one knew what would happen next. The white light did not feel cold or bright. It felt quiet, like standing inside a soft breath between two moments of time. Jonas could no longer see the narrow metal walls of Horizon 1, 2, and he could not feel the gentle pull of Earth's gravity beneath his feet. Yet he was not afraid in the way he expected. The fear was there, small and distant, but something calmer stood in front of it. Beside him, the Arbiter moved without motion, her glow flowing like slow water in empty space. There was no wind, no sound of engines, no sense of direction. Still, Jonas felt they were traveling faster than anything he could imagine. He tried to speak, but the words stayed in his chest. Questions crowded his mind. Where were they going? What would he see? Why had she chosen him? He was only a repair worker who spent most days tightening bolts and checking wires. Nothing about him felt important enough for this moment. Yet she had chosen him. After a long silence, Jonas finally asked the simplest question he could find. Are we leaving Earth? Yes, the Arbiter answered softly. Her voice did not echo here. It rested gently in the air, close and clear, like someone speaking beside a quiet lake at night. Jonas looked around again. The white light began to thin, opening into darkness filled with distant stars. But these stars were not the same as the ones seen from Earth. They were brighter, sharper, and arranged in strange patterns his memory could not recognize. A slow realization formed inside him. They were very far away. How? He whispered. Distance is a rule of small understanding, she said. There are older paths. Jonas did not fully understand her words, but he felt their truth. Whatever power allowed her to cross the galaxy was beyond machines, beyond science, beyond anything humanity had built. They drifted toward a field of broken shapes, floating in space. At first Jonas thought they were asteroids. Then he saw straight lines, smooth curves, and shattered towers of metal, larger than cities. Ships, thousands of them. All silent, all dead. A cold weight settled in his stomach. What happened here? This was a civilization that wished for victory over all rivals, the Arbiter replied. I granted their desire. Jonas stared at the ruins. Some ships looked ancient, worn by time. Others seemed newer, as if destruction had come in waves across many years. They won? He asked quietly. Yes. The single word felt heavier than any long explanation. Jonas understood. There was nothing left to fight because nothing else remained alive. He watched the drifting graveyard in silence as they passed through it without touching anything. No lights blinked, no signals called for help. The emptiness felt endless. A thought rose in his mind, slow and painful. Did they know this would happen? They believed power would bring safety, she said. Many believed this. Humans believe that too, sometimes. He had seen nations argue, threaten, prepare for wars that everyone feared but no one stopped. Looking at the silent ruins, he wondered how close humanity might stand to the same future. The stars shifted again. The graveyard faded behind them, replaced by a world glowing with soft green light. Wide oceans shone like glass. Cities of crystal curved along the shores, perfect and peaceful. It was beautiful in a way that almost hurt to see. Are they alive? Jonas asked, hope rising carefully.
They wished for eternal life, the Arbiter said. The hope faded before it could grow.
As they moved closer, Jonas saw figures standing across the crystal cities. tall, graceful shapes looking toward the sky. None of them moved, not a single step, not a single gesture. Not dead, but not living. Time had stopped for them, exactly as they had asked. A deep sadness filled his chest. How long have they been like this? Long enough that their sun has begun to cool, she answered. Jonas looked at the distant star, dimmer than it should have been. One day it would fade completely, and the silent figures would remain, unable to change, unable to end, unable to begin again. Eternal life had become an endless prison. He felt a quiet shiver. Do they feel anything? I do not know, she said. They wished only to continue. Jonas closed his eyes for a moment. He tried to imagine never changing, never growing older, never choosing anything new. The thought felt empty, like a story that refused to move forward. When he opened his eyes, the green world was already far behind them. Why are you showing me this? He asked. You wish to understand me, the Arbiter replied. Understanding requires truth. Her glow dimmed slightly, not with weakness, but with something closer to memory. I have walked beside many species at this moment, she continued. I have listened to their hopes. I have granted their desires. But I have watched their endings. Jonas listened carefully. There was no pride in her voice, no anger, only a quiet weight carried for a very long time. Are you judging us? He asked. Yes. The honesty of the answer surprised him, yet it also felt right. Something this powerful would not lie about something so important. His heart beat faster. And if we fail? She did not answer immediately. Stars moved slowly around them, silent witnesses to the question. Jonas wondered how many civilizations had asked the same thing and never heard the answer they wanted. Finally, she spoke. Then you will end, as others have ended. Not by my hand, by the path of your own desire. The words were calm, but they carried the weight of countless lost worlds. Jonas felt fear again, stronger now. Not fear for himself, but for Earth, for the oceans and forests, for crowded cities and quiet homes, for children who had never even looked at the stars yet. All of it could disappear because of a single choice. His choice. The thought felt too large, too heavy for one ordinary person. Why me? He asked softly. There are smarter people, braver people, leaders, scientists. You are human, she said. That's not special. It is. He looked at her glowing form, unsure how to answer. Humans argued, fought, made mistakes again and again. History was full of failure. Nothing about them seemed worthy of cosmic judgment. Sensing his doubt, the Arbiter lifted her hand slightly. Space unfolded once more. This time, Jonas saw Earth. Not the present Earth, but moments from its past. Small groups of early humans huddling around fragile fire. Farmers planting seeds in hard soil. Doctors working through long nights to save strangers. People rebuilding cities after war instead of letting hatred win. Tiny acts. Fragile choices. Quiet kindness that history books rarely celebrated. Your species fails often, she said gently. Yet you continue choosing. This is rare. Jonas watched the moving images with wide eyes. He had studied some of these moments in school, but seeing them like this felt different, more real, more important. Many civilizations seek certainty, she continued. You seek possibility. The words settled deep inside him. Possibility. Not perfection, not safety. Just the chance to try again. The vision of Earth faded, leaving only the stars. Jonas felt something changing in his thoughts, like pieces slowly fitting together. He still did not know what he would choose at the end of this journey. But he understood the question more clearly now. "What happens when the walk ends?" he asked. "I will ask you again," she said. "And your answer will decide your future." A quiet determination began to grow beneath his fear. He did not want power. He did not want immortality. After everything he had seen, those wishes felt dangerous, even empty. But he still did not know the right answer. They traveled on through the silent galaxy, past wonders and ruins, past beauty and loss. Each sight carried the same hidden message. Desire shaped destiny, and destiny could not be undone. At last, they reached a place where even the stars seemed distant. Darkness stretched in every direction, deep and endless. Yet in the center of that darkness floated a single point of gentle light, small as a candle in a vast night. Jonas felt drawn to it without knowing why. "What is that?" "The end of many journeys," the Arbiter said quietly, "and the beginning of truth." Her voice held that strange uncertainty again, fragile and almost human. Jonas realized something important in that moment. This test was not only about humanity. Somehow, it was also about her. They drifted closer to the small light, and Jonas felt his heartbeat slow, matching a calm rhythm he could not explain. Whatever waited ahead would bring the final question, and he was no longer sure who was more afraid of the answer, the human or the ancient being beside him. The light grew brighter, welcoming them into the silence where choices could no longer be avoided. And far away, on a blue world turning quietly around its sun, billions of people waited without knowing whether hope or ending was moving toward them through the dark. The small point of light did not grow the way a star would. It unfolded slowly, like a door opening into a place that had been hidden for a very long time. Jonas felt no heat from it, no burning brightness. Instead, a calm warmth touched his skin, gentle and steady, the way sunlight feels in the first quiet moments of morning. As they moved closer, he saw that the light was not a star at all. It was a vast structure made of shapes too smooth and perfect to be natural. Rings of pale silver drifted around a center of soft white glow. Long bridges of light connected empty spaces where something might once have existed. Everything was silent, untouched, waiting. "What is this place?" Jonas asked in a low voice. "The memory of judgment," the Arbiter answered. Her words felt older than the stars around them. Jonas looked carefully. He expected ruins like the broken fleets or the frozen world they had seen before. But this place was different. Nothing was destroyed. Nothing was alive. It felt paused, like a breath held for thousands of years. They stepped onto a wide surface of smooth light that formed beneath their feet without sound. The moment Jonas touched it, a quiet vibration moved through him. Not painful, but deep, as if the place could feel his presence. He pulled in a slow breath. "Has every species come here?" "Yes," she said. "All who reached the moment of choosing." "And none passed?" he asked. Silence answered first. Then, softly, "None." The word settled heavily in the endless quiet. Jonas tried to imagine entire civilizations standing where he stood now, filled with hope, fear, pride, desperation. All of them certain their wish would save them. All of them gone. A faint glow formed in the air ahead of them. Shapes appeared inside it, moving like reflections in clear water. Jonas saw tall beings made of blue light, speaking with calm confidence. He saw creatures covered in silver armor, kneeling with fierce devotion. He saw gentle figures with wide eyes filled with longing. Each vision showed the same final moment, the Arbiter asking, "What do you desire?" and each species answering with certainty. Power. Peace.
Order. Knowledge.
Perfection. Safety. Control. The visions shifted faster, one after another, until they blurred together into a single truth. Every desire had sounded beautiful, every ending had been silent. Jonas felt a deep ache in his chest. Did you know what would happen before you granted their wishes? Yes. The answer came without hesitation. He turned toward her quickly, shock rising inside him. Then why give it to them? Her glow dimmed slightly, like light behind thin clouds. Because choice defines existence, she said. Without choice, life is only survival. Jonas struggled with that thought. If she knew the result would lead to extinction, how could granting the wish be right? Yet something in her voice carried pain, not cruelty. You could have stopped them, he said quietly. I could have ruled them, she replied. I could have forced them to live in ways I believed correct. They would have continued, without ever truly living. The calm honesty of her words made arguing feel impossible. Still, the sadness remained. So this is a test no one can pass. For the first time, her answer came slowly. It has never been passed, she said. That is not the same as impossible. They walked forward together across the glowing surface. The visions faded behind them, leaving only the soft white center ahead. Jonas felt something pulling at his thoughts, not controlling him, but inviting him to understand something just beyond reach. Why do you keep doing this? He asked. After so many endings. Why continue? A long silence followed. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a quiet weight he had never heard before. Because I was created to find a species that chooses differently. The words stopped him where he stood. Created? He repeated. Yes. Jonas stared at her glowing form, trying to imagine a being powerful enough to make something like the Arbiter. By who? I do not know, she said. They are older than my memory. They gave me one purpose: to watch, to ask, to grant, to witness what follows. A strange loneliness filled the space around her words. And if no one ever passes? Jonas asked softly. Then my purpose ends with the last silence. He felt that answer more than he understood it. For the first time he saw the Arbiter not as an all-powerful judge, but as something bound to a duty she never chose. She had been alone far longer than any civilization had lived. They reached the center. The white light there was gentle, almost fragile, like something waiting to be protected instead of feared. Jonas felt calm standing near it, yet his heart beat faster, knowing what moment was coming. This is where you will ask again, he said. Yes. He swallowed, suddenly aware that the journey was almost over. Everything he had seen, the ruins, the frozen world, the lost histories, pressed quietly against his thoughts. I don't know the right answer, he admitted. The right answer cannot be given, she said. Only chosen. That sounded exactly like being human. The white light shifted, and a final vision formed around them. Earth. But not the Earth of today. He saw possible futures unfolding like pages turning in a book. In one, shining cities covered the planet, perfect and unchanging, but empty of laughter. In another, powerful machines ruled silent skies while humans slept forever in safe dreams. In another, endless war burned across continents until nothing green remained. Each future came from a different wish. Each wish solved one fear and created a deeper loss. Jonas watched them all, unable to look away. His chest felt tight, his thoughts heavy. He understood now. There was no perfect gift, no safe miracle. Every easy answer carried a hidden ending. The visions faded slowly until only the real Earth remained, imperfect, noisy, beautiful, uncertain, a world still choosing every day what it would become. Tears filled his eyes before he noticed them. I don't want any of those futures, he whispered. The Arbiter stood beside him in silence. "Then the moment has come," she said gently. The light around them grew still, as if the universe itself were listening. Jonas felt fear again, stronger than before. Not fear of death, not fear of pain, fear of choosing wrong for everyone he had ever known. He closed his eyes, remembering small things: rain on a window, music in an empty room, someone laughing at a bad joke. Simple moments that mattered only because they could end. If everything were perfect forever, would those moments still mean anything? He opened his eyes slowly. The Arbiter looked at him, waiting with infinite patience and something like fragile hope. "Human," she said softly, "what do you desire?" The question settled into the quiet space between them, deeper than any silence before. Jonas felt the weight of history, the gaze of distant stars, the fragile future of Earth turning far away. This was the turning point no civilization had survived, and for the first time since the journey began, he understood that the answer was not about saving humanity. It was about trusting it. He drew in one slow, steady breath, standing at the edge of a choice that would echo across the galaxy. And in that quiet moment, before he spoke, even the ancient Arbiter did not know what the future would become.